Outlaw Macho Drive-In.
All right. Next up, we are on 27. Starting off on the pre-show. There's two pre-show matches. One of them I do not remember, but I do remember Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. They wind up trying to do this match a few times at WrestleMania.
And poor Sheamus. Poor guys cannot get a break.
US title. Yeah. I do not remember Great Khali winning a Battle Royal with Sheamus as the last person he eliminated, though.
I think what happened is they had the lumberjack match. It ended in a no contest when everyone beat each other. Now, I don't remember actually watching. Started brawling, so they turned it into a battle royal. I actually do not remember watching this pre-show, but I remember reading about it.
Yeah, same here. Because I think they only had the United States title match, not the Battle Royal. Because usually they didn't show that. But I don't know. It was 8 minutes. So, yeah. So I'm thinking they showed one, but not the other.
Yeah, because I do remember Sheamus and Bryan.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I remember him a couple years later. But I don't remember the Battle Royal until I was reading this. I was like, that's kind of an odd one. But main show... he retains what, James Blanton?
Wait, who retains what? I didn't hear that.
The Rated R Superstar retains which championship, James Blanton?
WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
Okay.
He retains it against Alberto Del Rio.
Alberto. But of course, you already know that. Now, one could argue.
Are you a fan of this match just because you can say Riho in this match?
Why would you say Riho? It's Rio.
That's a bad one.
Because if you just do it like Ricardo Rodriguez and stretch it out,
Joe,
there you go.
Joe, that's racist.
Well, they're two entirely different ethnicities.
Yeah, no, but you're saying because Ricardo Rodriguez is Hispanic, he's going to say an H in there. I mean, come on, man.
This match was kind of lackluster, honestly.
Edge versus the Rio?
Edge and Del Rio, yeah.
We found out the next night.
Yes. I mean, there's good reason
next week,
why. But even, character-wise going into it, I really wasn't big onto it. We all know Pete Guess's huge hatred of Alberto Del Rio, and surely nobody else is on this pod. Nobody else at all.
No one thinks ADR is a douchebag, correct?
No, of course not. No, nobody would say he's a complete, douche nozzle or anything like that.
We have the utmost respect for Alberto the asshole. I mean Del Rio.
Yes. Next match, we had Cody Rhodes defeating Rey Mysterio. I think Cody was one of Rey's best programs, honestly, in the past 15 years. And then we had 8-man tag team action. Big Show, Kane, Kofi Kingston, and Santino Marella defeating the core of Ezekiel Jackson, Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel, and Wade Barrett. I still would have preferred it to have been Nexus versus Core here, but it's whatever.
1 minute,
Orton
32 seconds. Wow.
Yeah. Orton versus Punk was actually pretty good. I do think that Punk versus Cena would have made more sense as a blow-off feud at Mania, but him versus Orton makes sense, though. 2 WrestleMania debuts here in this next contest.
Now, before we go into this match, we need to go back and say one thing. This WrestleMania was hosted by.
It was hosted by
the most electrified man in sports entertainment history.
That's right.
The Samoan media.
Stop saying yes.
trailblazing, eyebrow raising. I'm not really good at this anyway. The Rock.
Pie eating.
Pie eating, yes.
Yeah.
Pie eating, self-show producing, the people's champ, The Rock.
He definitely plays a big role on the later program.
Yeah.
And
you can continue, Joe.
So, next match, the WrestleMania debut of Michael Cole defeating a young upstart named Jerry the King Lawler by disqualification.
Pete Guest's favorite match of the year.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Pete, you're not here, so you get the jokes.
I will say this, though. I loved heel Michael Cole. I thought heel Michael Cole was great.
But he had no business in the ring.
Yes. The match itself, especially a match that, went this long. But yeah, he had no business in the ring, but he's a great heel. I would have loved to have him to have been either the total heel manager for The Miz, or if he was revealed as the announcer GM.
Yeah, if they had reversed it and had Jack Swagger versus King instead.
Yes.
With Cole as the manager, that would have been.
Yes, agreed.
I am mad at you, Master Heater. When you said it shouldn't went that long, like how long this match go? Like it had to be 5 minutes. I'm looking like 13 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, yo, the 8-man only was less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, why are you mad at me? I didn't book it.
No, not that. So when you said that, it just made me think like, how long is that match? Oh man, okay. There's more mad that you just brought it to my head. So I'm like, it hasn't been that long.
It's basically
that's a 5-minute match.
It's basically 12 minutes of King beating up Michael Cole and then, a minute and a half of something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird that 8-man was less than 2 minutes. Like, y'all could have gave it, like...
Yeah, they did, but they brought out the worst. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
8-man, okay, a little bit more match
so
for
the
you.
KO actually...
So 1 minute 32 is 92 seconds, right? So that makes 92 divided by 8. Wait, I think I'm going to divide by 4 first. 23 and 2.
Now it turned into the Mohammed show real fast.
I think it's 11 and a half seconds per wrestler.
And that was this week on Mathematics. So
the more you know.
Oh, I'm gonna have a graphic up for that on YouTube. Maybe not this one because. But Steve Austin was perfect in this as well as the ref. Just
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Clearly, that was the selling point.
Yeah. Oh, it totally was.
I mean, like, he needed someone in there to bring it. Like, they were giving them a match between King. King is making his WrestleMania debut, by the way, after. And he's facing Michael Cole. But the best thing, you guys remember when Austin was, like, in Cole's face when King had was it an ankle lock? It was an ankle lock.
Yeah.
And he was like, and Cole is tapping, and Austin's like, he cannot hear. Austin, do you give up, Michael? Do you quit? He's monkeying it, and then Cole is like, yes, and Austin's like, he cannot hear him, and then he looks at King, and King said, okay, you can ring the bell. Anyway, go ahead.
Next match here was my match of the night for me, Undertaker versus Triple H. Great story going in.
Sorry, I'm looking at James right now.
And the next year, they also had my match of that night of Undertaker and Triple H in the Hell in a Cell. I loved that. Basically, 5 years are all kind of connected. Like, you have Michaels retiring Flair, Michaels versus Taker, then you have Taker retiring Michaels, and then you have 2 years in a row of Taker versus Michaels' best friend.
Yeah.
It was a really epic line of matches.
It's an epic series of matches. It's like sort of like it's the WWE's version of the Infinity Gauntlet series for Marvel Comics, for example.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah. It's I said it. I know you disagree.
I know.
But,
Yeah, I'm not. I don't. You know, it makes sense. It makes sense. We'll get to it when we get to it.
yeah.
Well, to hear James' previous thoughts on Undertaker versus Triple H, you can check out our retrospective on the Undertaker, available wherever fine podcasts are available.
Yes, very controversial, but that's my opinion.
Speaking of celebrity, this next match here has probably the biggest celebrity that WWE has on this. Not named The Rock. We have,
and it's not dated at all either. Everybody, this is not dated at all.
We have Snooki teaming with John Morrison and Trish Stratus versus Dolph Ziggler and Lay Cool, and this match goes whopping 3:16. Less said about this match. Probably the best. I didn't care for really the build or the match itself, and I love a lot of people involved in this match, but it just did nothing for me at all.
Whoa! Did Joel kind of say he's a fan of Snooki?
No, a lot of people involved in this match.
I mean, he didn't say he wasn't a fan of Snooki, so yeah.
She would be the reason I did not care for this.
Okay, I just mess with.
Okay. Sure.
Thought it was the most annoying fucking person to be on television.
I'm pretty sure there's like 6 Jersey Shore pops out of camera where Joe is at right now.
Gotta hide this.
Oh my
god. But yeah, this match here, it just shows that whole 2009 through 2013 aspect that I truly hated about WWE. That's pretty much this match in a nutshell. The next match, however, definitely has the reign of WWE champion that was completely celebrated about a month ago by all of us. One of the hardest working professional wrestlers in the industry, one of the greatest mic men in the industry, a man that deserved his championship reign, a man that everyone surprised everyone by retaining the championship over John Cena. One of the most controversial
at WrestleMania.
One of the most controversial stars.
John Cena's
one of the most divisive stars.
Okay.
The Miz.
Oh, so
amazing entrance he had, and I loved his reign. I'm glad he walked into Mania as champion. I'm glad he walked out of Mania as champion. No one expected it. Everyone thought Cena was gonna win it. Miz still had a pretty decent run up until end of 2012. So he was still a complete main eventer for about another year and a half.
I think in 2012 he kind of checked out a little bit. But
after Mania, he went on hiatus so he could film some stuff, and then when he came back, he was immediately thrown back into the picture. But then they did that whole awkward babyface turn during the whole Punk versus Foley that turned into Foley versus Ziggler mess that really made no sense at all going into the Survivor Series.
Yeah, those couple of months were a cluster.
But yeah, to me, this match here and Triple H versus Undertaker saved the show. I know a lot of people hated this match. It's nothing great. It's nothing groundbreaking. But for a Miz mark, it was quite the sight seeing him retain the championship WrestleMania of all.
And he didn't just retain
shows.
it once; he retained it twice in the.
Yes. So yeah, what did you guys think of this WrestleMania here?
I will go first.
I'll give James the floor because he clearly has a lot to say.
Oh no! It's just that this was interesting WrestleMania, of course. That you had The Rock there, which was good. I enjoy, and I'm just going to be out of order because it is, crazy. Edge versus Alberto Del Rio was interesting because now knowing what we know now, you just think, why didn't they give it to Del Rio? But in this case, it's fine. I guess they didn't know for sure. Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio. I like the build. This is where I started liking Cody Rhodes when he was wearing the mask and everything. I thought that was just different from him. And I started to become a fan of him because of it. I will skip that 8-man tag. But again, the core. Let's see. Ezekiel Jackson. Yeah. Heath Slater. Rest in peace. Jason Gabriel. Yeah, and Wade Barrett's back in NXT. And no, Heath Slater's not dead. It's just that he's in Impact now. So that means he does not exist in WWE Universe. Punk and Orton was great. I have to admit, I did not see Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler for some reason. So I'm glad I didn't. And same thing goes for Morrison and Trish and stuff. I saw that build and I just hate it so much. I'm like, why are they doing this? But again, WrestleMania is spectacle in the moments. That's what Master Heater said, and that is true. Happy that The Miz defeated John Cena and retained his belt at the WrestleMania main event. But it also started something else, which we wouldn't think would take a whole year, but okay. Undertaker defeated Triple H by submission in a no-holds-barred match. Now, I'm a fan of both wrestlers. I love The Undertaker. I love Triple H. And I figured it makes sense for Triple H because what he did to his friend Shawn Michaels. So nothing wrong having these two people go at it, and I thought it was a good, fun match, and it was great. I will save my heat for the next WrestleMania. But overall, I thought this was a good WrestleMania for what it is. It had matches, it had good wrestling, and it had spectacle. And with you have them three things, you really can't have a bad WrestleMania. So, Snooki. Just like, of all people, they could have Snooki. Jeez. But anyway, I will move it on to Master Heater. What do you think about WrestleMania in Atlanta, Georgia, which they need to come back?
Were you in Atlanta? Were you in Georgia at the time, or was this before you?
No, this is before me.
I will say that, I remember this WrestleMania when I ordered this WrestleMania, and I got there was a problem with the pay-per-view channel, so the broadcast didn't start for me until after Edge and Christian trashed Alberto's car. And then later after that I was thinking that, oh my god, I missed seeing Edge's last match live. But there you go. I think it's out in the universe. It was meant for me to see Edge's last match live, so because he's back now. If you guys remember, Alberto Del Rio had one of those great entrances where they, on the big screen that they had behind him, they had the picture of his estate. That was a great thing. It's what did you guys think about the commentary for the first match of WrestleMania, for the first half of WrestleMania, where Cole was in the coal mine, him and King were just taking shots at each other all the time, during the whole time, and
I honestly forgot all about it.
Yeah.
Me too, till you brought it up. And I remember how they all going through the build. It was horrible. That was bad. Your commentators can have arguments, but small ones, not throughout the whole thing. And it was just, and that's why I think Michael Cole get a lot of flack for, because people remember him from that stuff, and it just keeps that hate when he kept, the Miz is this, and blah, blah, blah. And X still carries on today. Now he's neutral and not a character anymore. People still remember that, and they're just like, yeah, it was a bad time. It was a bad time.
It's because I think he went overboard when trying to rehabilitate his own image as, not a character anymore, so he became overproduced so that he would separate himself from, the heel guy who was in there before. It's just kind of weird. Like, you're watching as you guys have a match afterwards. Like, why don't you just go get ready, do something?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, this video just have Cole and not the King and separate so it'd be different or something like that.
Or just have,
Well, Cole was in the
ringside.
Yeah, well, Cole was in the coal mine, so he was safe, apparently.
Yeah, so he could have been out there, but the King could have been somewhere else.
He did something, but he did cut a promo on him when he stepped on the desk, and I like that thing where he said, "We're in the shadow of the CNN Center, where I was like a big deal," or something in that form. But anyway, Cody versus Rey Mysterio, I think it's one of the most underrated matches in WrestleMania history. No one talks about it that much. It was a really good match. Like, it was a good, back and forth between the two, and I mean, like, and the ending made sense. So.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes been banished to the Phantom Zone, so yeah, we don't talk about him anymore.
I mean, it's not like he has complete control over his character and how he's presented on his own show or anything like that. Anyway, the 8-man. Do you guys remember that Kofi Kingston was a last-minute replacement?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Kozlov in there. And they thought, Kingston deserves this more. So.
Got it. Yeah. Man.
It's when I see that they say the core here, I just think it's a shame that Nexus didn't make it to WrestleMania in its original form, not the CM Punk Nexus.
Same.
Because basically, Punk's Nexus got taken out right before WrestleMania, so the entire lineage of Nexus just got destroyed. Like, I think in a perfect world, you would have Wade Barrett versus John Cena at WrestleMania as the blow-up. But
that's what I thought was going to happen. I honestly thought that Wade Barrett was going to beat Randy Orton for the championship. And I thought John Cena was going to win the Royal Rumble, and it was going to be Cena versus Barrett at Mania. I thought as soon as Cena won title, that's when Miz was going to cash in. I thought Miz was going to cash in on Cena right after defeating Wade Barrett. That's how I thought it was going to go down.
Yeah, it would have been good. Yeah, but yet again. Okay, Orton versus Punk.
They really messed up the Nexus, though.
Yeah. They did.
I'm just agreeing with you. They really messed up.
Yeah, they just destroyed them. It's unbelievable what they did. Okay, Randy Orton versus CM Punk. I'm gonna tie this to the main event because I was always of the mind that it should have been Punk versus Cena at WrestleMania, because when Punk took over the Nexus, that rivalry was out of this world. That rivalry was earth-shattering. And at the same time, I was thinking if Cena and Miz are, not as technically adept as Orton and Punk. So if you have Orton with Miz, that will elevate that match ring-wise, and Punk with Cena, that will elevate that match ring-wise. But then once The Rock was added to the mix, you would think, it makes sense to have the Miz in there. Miz is more Hollywoody than pretty much any other wrestler, even though he hadn't made any much movies then, but he fits with the whole, glitz and glamours and promos and stuff. Cole versus Lawler, I think we covered that enough. Daycare versus Triple H. Again, now this might be because I'm an Undertaker mark, but again, this match also scared the hell out of me because there was the one point where Triple H tombstoned the Undertaker, and I was like, oh god, that's actually a fitting end to the streak. It
would be
like, because Undertaker, again, it's the same thing with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Like I said, it's that one thing builds into the other. And Undertaker asked Shawn Michaels to stay down, but this time, Triple H is asking Undertaker to stay down. And he said, like, stay down. What's wrong with you? Stay down. And the Undertaker, weakly grabs him by the throat. Triple H shakes it off, moves the hand away, does the thing where, I'm ending your career, and then just tombstones him. And, he has him up for the tombstone, and you think, like, in a typical Undertaker match, Taker reverses it, but that didn't happen. And I see that tombstone head, and I'm like, oh shit, that's it. But Taker kicks out, and honestly, this is one of the most perfect Triple H moments where he... Now, Triple H, one thing that's underrated about Triple H, he sells moments better than most guys. Like, if you guys remember, like, I'll take this as a flashback. Back in 1998, when he was supposed to be in a full Madison Square Garden Full Count Anywhere versus Mankind, but then Mankind did the Three Faces of Foley thing and introduced Cactus Jack, and Triple H sold it like, this guy's gonna come out and murder him. This is a much... Like, yeah, exactly. He was like, no, you can't.
Well, he is the game now.
Yeah, he is the game. Ways. Yeah, exactly. And he did the same thing in this match where, like, when Undertaker kicked out, he, like, backed away from him, like, what the hell is this? What is this guy? He made it seem like a horror movie where he didn't know where it'd go. And a submission end for this match was perfect, honestly, because, Undertaker was on his back, he can't get up. So from the floor, what can you do? You do the, the go-go, the Hell's Gate finish, which was not perfectly locked in, by the way. But, like, you could see Undertaker shifted his arm out. Yeah, but he shifted the arm out of it because, I don't know, it was easier for him to do it that way, which it made a lot of sense, that he would do. But... yeah, it's a great match. It's a great, link in the saga. It's out of the 4 matches you mentioned, Joe, which is Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels 2, Triple H at 27, and the Hell in a Cell. I think it might be the least out of them, like, satisfactory and in-ring wise.
Same here.
But it was building towards the next one. I don't know if that was the plan originally, but it was basically, this match is part of a double feature that you need to see the second part in order to fully appreciate the first part. Do you guys
saying that made me change my opinion a little bit, but yeah, by you saying that, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But we'll say that for the next.
See?
See?
Yeah, see, hashtag Master Eater. Anyway, just gotta say, like, do you guys like the Johnny Cash song for an entrance?
I did, yeah. I loved it.
It
I like that in the Metallica. They do right by the Undertaker. They do the right by Undertaker.
It was perfect, right? It's the perfect song. If they're gonna choose a song for the Undertaker in this version, that's the perfect song to choose. Because, and this is also in Johnny Cash's later years where his voice gets so gravelly and it feels like he's actually, plowing out of a grave while he's singing it. One of these days, I'm gonna do a podcast by myself about Johnny Cash, or you guys can join in if you're Johnny Cash fans. But we never discuss him. But we'll see. But again, I'll just go back to the build-up. Do you guys remember 2/21/11? They kept
the date.
Oh, yeah.
Counting down to that date, and then it showing this old house, and people went nuts. People would think it was the Undertaker. Other people thought it was Sting.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Yeah, and then they had the Undertaker, just come out of the door, and they would play like excerpts of that song during those promos, and then Undertaker would come out on the door on that date, and then the song plays, and he just comes out, and then before he says anything, Triple H comes out, and they both look at the sign, and Undertaker refuses at first. He does this whole...
Yeah.
And then puts his hat back on, and he's about to leave, but then reconsiders it, and like... And I like to think that at the moment, the Undertaker, the character, thought like, this Punk coming out here in my moment trying to show me up and challenge me. I'm going to show him. I'm going to destroy him at WrestleMania. And then he just walks back to him and does this. Awesome stuff. It's one of my favorite Raw moments. It doesn't get a lot of recognition now because, you know, it
was great.
There's an ocean of Raw moments, but it's a good show. And Miz and Cena. I love that Miz won this.
Okay.
Awesome. Like, this is the only thing I ever want. The only thing I wanted out of this match was Miz to retain. I didn't want anything else. I knew it was a little far-fetched, but just what I wanted. And also, going into the build-up, Miz cut one of the best promos of all time. Do you guys remember when he came out dressed as The Rock, having the bald head on? He beats John Cena up, and then he cuts the promo on him, and then he says, "Oh, and by the way," and he just looks straight in the camera, "Hello, Rock." Like, we haven't been formally introduced, and he's like, wow, this guy does not want to be overlooked. This guy is going to break his way in. It's, again, like one statistic here, only the second heel champion to retain at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
the best.
As far as WWE Championship is concerned, because Chris Jericho retained the World Championship a year earlier, and Triple H in 2019. But there's the WCW Championship, whatever.
What was that? Thank you.
But as far as WWE Championship,
because I get confused because both of them world champions, so I gotta say the whole thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Exactly right.
I know.
That's why you do it.
I know. Anyway, just gotta say, like, once again, remind everyone, greatest WCW World Champion of all time, The Undertaker. That's canon now. Because these guys made it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And that's 27. And we're burning daylight here. Let's move on.
Thank you for joining us on the Outlaw Macho Drive-In. If you liked that video, please click like and subscribe to our channel for more content from the Drive-In. For full episodes of our podcast, please look us up on Anchor or Spotify. Just search for Outlaw Macho Drive-In or click the link in the description below. Please feel free to comment. Tell us what you think about our discussion. Please tell us what you think about us. Tell us what you think in general. The world's your oyster. And do us a favor, spread the word. Help us out here. Share. Thank you. We love you. Bye.